concrete walls, there's a place for us where we could go, where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Between concrete walls, there's a place for us where we could go, where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
I always forget that. What's up, you guys? Welcome to Livestream. I always forget that if I change scenes, the song doesn't keep playing because it's not in the other scene. I always want to switch cameras. I need to add the source. Hey everybody, how you doing? I realized there's another camera in the room. This is the camera that I shoot my bench videos from. And I was like, hey, let's mix it up a little bit. Let's let them get another look at the new desk. We'll get another look at my cool workspace. So I was going to bounce over there. From freaking music turned off. Because I'm an amateur. What are you going to do? Yeah, just check out my new rug. You got an opinion about my rug? My wife walked into the room and went, I don't remember what she said. She made a disparaging comment. The camera is focused, Dominic. It's just focused over at the bench. This is where it needs to be focused. This is how I make sure that my videos are actually in focus. I never touch this camera. Oh, man. Whoa! Hey! Why? What are you doing up there? How you guys doing? Hey, listen. I want to tell you something. You can't see it. I want to tell you guys something. There's no White Claw tonight. There's no White Claw tonight, folks. Thank you. Really ties the room together. I could not be more proud than to have a Big Lebowski reference on my rug. She started to say something, and I said, I chose that rug, and I like it. So, and she was like, it's a... Okay, let's do it. You ready? Welcome to Livestream, everybody. Tonight, no No White Claw tonight, folks. I even got the great big ice cube for my drink. She's my wife. She's allowed to say mean things to me. She's very supported. I don't know what kind of rug it is, Ghost Branch. I just got it off of Amazon. I do buy White Claw. Sort of. I don't buy it for myself. I buy it for other people, and then I drink it. Anyway. Dominic Clifton, I hope you're doing well, my friend. In case you didn't hear, Dominic Clifton is in the hospital. I hate to start the stream off on a low note, but also probably sucks more for him actually being in the hospital than it sucks for you to have to hear about it. So I'm glad you're still with us, my friend. He made a post on Facebook that said, I'm in the hospital with my brain bleeding, which I don't care how you slice it. Your brain shouldn't be bleeding. Of all the parts of the body that might be bleeding, some would say the brain is the most important to not be bleeding. So, and he was posting to Facebook. He was responding to comments, and then he kind of disappeared because obviously the hospital was dealing with him. And I'm very happy to hear that now he's back. Get well, my friend. Hang in there. We need you. Well, because you're like a cool person and all, but also because I heard you were working on a flight controller with an Express LRS receiver built in, and I think we all want to see that exist. Oh my God. Waiting for a new scan to try to find out where the bleed is. Dominic Clifton, Vampire, the creator of SP Racing. Waiting for a scan to find out, like, your brain is bleeding and they don't know where? How long have they had your brain? It's been like a week. The brain, listen, doctors, pay attention. Pay attention. The brain is not that big. Find out where it's bleeding. Just put your thumb on it. Hope you're okay, man. I hope you're okay, seriously. And then the last thing he heard from me was me making fun of his doctors. I'm sure that's how they would have wanted it. They can't take the brain out of the head, Bardwell. Well, Kyle, they've got his head too. It's not like they said, please send us your brain. They got the whole of him. Brain's not that big. Figure out where it's bleeding. Fortunately for you, this is not a stream about medicine or brains. This is, uh-oh. Hang on one second. Joy Monkey has pointed out that one of my streams is scheduled for the wrong date. Did I screw that up, Joy Monkey? Let me fix that real quick. So that no one is confused. FPV News with JB and it's Blunty, April 12th. Oh, you are correct, my friend. I screwed that up. Let me fix that real quick. So, sorry, guys. I can't have people over there thinking that this is the stream for now. Edit. 1 second. Bear with me. When details. Not April 12th. It is the 27th. Okay, we're going to change that real quick. 27th at 8 p.m. That's what I get for creating new streams right before. There we go. Let me send them over here. Okay. Duplicate stream key. No. All right, you go away. All right, we're back. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Fortunately, this is not a stream about medicine or brains. This is a stream about FPV. Zach Cagely in the Discord, I have had none, 0 drinks. I always go into the live stream completely straight and then slowly fall apart until eventually I do a giveaway. Nice X, there will be news tomorrow. That was just the wrong stream for tomorrow. There will be news every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. You could just see the rug. You could just barely see the rug behind me. Should have got a bigger rug. Gonna do. This is not a stream about rugs or desks either. Squishy7, you are correct. The more drinks I have, the better the chance of a giveaway. It is true. What's in that ice? This is a... Which is this? Knob Creek. Knob Creek. I gave away... Alep FPV is correctly remembering the time when I had a little more on stream than I usually do, and I gave away a 3D printer. The rug looks worn. That's the point. It doesn't look brand new. Tac FPV is going to be at the race. Tac, you don't have to bid to hang out with me for 30 minutes, Tac. It'd be good to see you. Tac's going to be out at Freedom Hills Campground this weekend for a multi-GP race and just all-around good time. This Saturday, if you're in the area, you can come out as well. Private Island, you are on the right stream, my friend. You are on the right stream. In case you're new here, here's what we got going on. This is my main screen over here. And I will be answering your questions. Oh, Carbon Cage FPV's comment got auto-moderated, but here it is on the stream, thanks to my, well, you may as well show it. Oh, Nick Sebring got there before me. Well, anyway. I'll be taking your questions over here. Not so many questions yet. I will also be taking questions over here. This is my Discord server, and these beautiful people are my patrons, and I'll be reading their messages during the stream as well. Dinky Mods FPV, looking forward to meeting you or seeing you if I've met you before. I just don't recognize your username. Main Screen Gang. These beautiful people are my patrons. And if you want to join them over on the Discord server, you can sign up on my Patreon for a couple bucks a month or more if you feel like I've earned it. If you're not sure, just wait. You'll figure it out. And if you want to make sure I get your question, or if you just want another way to contribute, you can leave a super chat. Hit the $ right down here. You'll be pulled out into a super chat, which I will read on stream. You want to ask me a question that I definitely won't overlook, or just get a shout out. That's how to do it. And I normally go for like a half hour before I even pay any attention to the super chats. But just this once, I'm going to read the first 3 super chats right here off the beginning. Sean Powell, thanks for a $5 super chat. I appreciate you, Josh. Precision Drone Works, thanks for a $5 super chat. And Private Island FPV, thanks for a $4.20 super chat. Dabs for Dominic Clifton. Here we go. We're caught up. Swami on PC wants to know, does anybody know how to get that slow motor start that's on KISS ESC on BL32? Where instead of going, it goes... I don't think BL32 can do that. I mean, it could do that, but it doesn't. KISS calls it KISS just does it. On AM32, they call it sinusoidal start, but it also kind of just gets going. With sinusoidal start on AM32, if you hold the throttle low, the motor spins slowly instead of twitching. But when you normally arm, it just goes blink. I would think that AM32 would be a good place to go since it's open source firmware for BLA32 ESCs, and maybe it could incorporate that in some way. For those who are wondering, I did take my allergy medicine today. The last stream ended in a little bit of a snotty situation. We'll see how that hangs on. There was a question here. Quick Flash. Oh, Quick Flash. Quick Flash, why are you not a moderator? Let's make you a moderator. Oh, heck. Oh, come. Oh. Quick Flash. Quick Flash is, what the heck is your last name? Kevin. Oh, heck. I've got a friend named Kevin Turner. He's Evan Turner's dad, and now that I'm thinking of his name, I will never think of your name. We're going to make you a moderator there. Quick Flash asks, I want your honest opinion. Do you feel like software like EmuFlight has any future, or is it all Betaflight in the open source world? Quick Flash, that depends on how you define a future. I mean, are you successful right now at what you're doing? If the answer to that is not yes, then why? What's your goal? I think that it's hard to know. Like, will EmuFlight start being sold on bind and fly quadcopters? Will flight controllers come pre-flashed with EmuFlight? There are all these potential signs of growth and success. Will EmuFlight have such and such a % of the installs? It's hard to know how those things are going to go. I think it would have been difficult to predict when Betaflight first started that Betaflight was going to overtake CleanFlight. Dominic Clifton is right here in the chat, and if he feels like commenting on that, he certainly can. For those of you who don't know, Dominic Clifton was the creator, still is, but he was too, the creator of CleanFlight. And CleanFlight was begat from Baseflight. And the creator of Baseflight was a guy named Timecop, who is widely regarded to be a real jerk. I never met him. I did see some posts from him on certain forums, and I agree with the assessment. He certainly seemed like a jerk. But he did make Baseflight, so that's good. CleanFlight came after that. Betaflight started as just Boris's little pet project, a private repo. And eventually, Betaflight grew and grew, and people said, you should fork. You should fork. He forked eventually, and Betaflight just, all the development work seemed to move over there. Wonder why. Why did that happen? I'll give you my opinion. I mean, I wasn't there from the dev side. I wasn't in the GitHub chat rooms and whatever, the Slack. I don't think Slack existed back then. But my take on it is that CleanFlight was trying to maintain a certain level of structure and stability. And Betaflight wanted to move fast, break things, and just make the quadcopter fly as good as it could. One of the things Betaflight did was they started messing with the PID controller, adding filtering, changing things about how the PID controller worked. And if my impression at the time was that these features would eventually get merged back into CleanFlight, but CleanFlight was just moving much slower. And it felt like Dominic didn't want to merge in a bunch of changes that he wasn't convinced he could sort of stand behind. But at the same time, Betaflight was just piling these things up so fast that it felt like CleanFlight wasn't keeping up. Maybe they just didn't have the resources. I don't know. And users just moved because I think the reason was that Betaflight just flew better and had these features that people liked. Dominic Clifton says, where did it go? He said Betaflight won because all of the thrown-on hacks that users liked. Interesting to characterize it as thrown-on hacks. The one that stands out to me was the low-pass filter on the D term. That was, and then also gyrosync. Those were the two Betaflight features that, when it was first getting started, I noticed. And it turns out that in PID control theory, having a low-pass filter on the D term is just a standard thing. The Betaflight devs didn't invent that. They looked at PID control theory and said, why aren't we doing this? This is a thing that everybody does. And they implemented it. Syncing the PID loop and the motor output, another thing that they did. And people liked it. My impression was that it just moved faster and seemed to be moving in a direction people liked, and so people went that direction. So, going back to the question from Kevin Plaisir. Kevin Plaisir, boom! I remembered your last name, Kevin. Going back to the question, does EmuFlight have a place? Does EmuFlight have a future? I think the answer to that is, number one, you are working on EmuFlight because you want to work on it, because it interests you, because it's a project that you personally want to use. In any project like this, that has to be the first thing that drives you, because everything else is, I say, if you're going to start a YouTube channel, make videos that you want to watch and that you enjoy making, because chances are nobody else is going to watch them for a long time. So you better enjoy it. But the more general question of will EmuFlight stay around? I think, yes, EmuFlight absolutely has a place. EmuFlight has fans who use it. I don't know if there is as much opportunity today for EmuFlight to sort of dethrone Betaflight in the way that Betaflight sort of dethroned CleanFlight. I think that Betaflight has had a lot of excellent work done on it. Some people feel like there are ways it should have gone differently, like the Kalman filter. Some people think that Betaflight should have paid more attention to that. So not everything Betaflight has done has been sort of universally acclaimed, but overall it's pretty damn good. Whereas back when Betaflight was branching off from CleanFlight, there were 3 different PID controllers you could choose from, and none of them were that good compared to what we have today. So it feels like there's less room to dethrone Betaflight. But the answer, that doesn't mean that there's no room for anyone else to be around doing something different. The ideal would be that good things that come from EmuFlight would get merged back. Betaflight has a lot of manufacturer support. I think part of the challenge is that I don't think Betaflight is as receptive to external stuff. We know that they're kind of locked in to what they like to do. I mean, that didn't matter for Betaflight. When Betaflight took over from CleanFlight, Betaflight just charged ahead and started being excellent, and eventually people liked it and moved that direction. It's hard for me to imagine EmuFlight doing that, as entrenched as Betaflight is today. But I don't think that means that you should, quit. Dominic Clifton says, I make the things that I want for myself. If you make cool stuff, people will want it too. Just concentrate on making cool stuff. 100%. Quick Flash says, kind of hard to merge code when I'm banned from their GitHub. Yeah. There has been a little bit of a reshuffle lately in the Betaflight dev team. One of the devs has left, is my understanding. Perhaps that might mean that there's an opening to, I don't know. I had the impression when Boris started Betaflight that Boris and Dominic were on fairly good terms. I'm not asking Dominic to spill any tea from his hospital bed, but at least from the public perception, everything seemed very cordial. It doesn't seem like, if you go back to race flight and Flight 1, there was a lot of rancor. I feel like a lot of that rancor was well deserved. Flight 1, when they went closed source, they talked a lot of shit about the Betaflight devs. When Butterflight came out, again, there was a lot of shit talking. Helios Spring. I don't know what the situation is with EmuFlight, but it does seem like that every time one of these other firmwares comes along lately and says we're going to do something different, there's a lot of hard feelings and maybe not really a willingness to incorporate and work together. Quick Flash, I think if you really want to make some progress in getting more established, a way to do that is to work with manufacturers and provide something to manufacturers that Betaflight doesn't. Anyway, there you go. Yeah, like EmuFlight has DJI warnings in the OSD. Great. That's a thing that the Betaflight devs have just refused to do, that people want. That's, sorry about that. Oh, you didn't hear that. Thank goodness. I unplugged a USB device. That's a thing that people want, that you can do. That's a great reason for people to use EmuFlight above and beyond however it might fly. UAV Tech says EmuFlight picked up the torch of Butterflight, and that was a knock from the start. Yep, the Betaflight devs already had bad feelings about Butterflight and Helio, so Emu picking up that project definitely didn't get them off on the best foot. But even if you never dethrone Betaflight, then there's still great reasons to do what you're doing. And the number one reason has to be that you think it's cool and you want to do it. So. If iNav got better tuning for racing, it would be nuts, says KFC Managers. I mean, yeah, if, right? Bubby's here. Good to see Bubby this weekend, right? Bubby, you're coming out to... I was amazed you're flying all the way out here to Freedom Hills, but going to be good to see you, Bubby. I don't even know if I've actually ever met Bubby. Sync Happens in the Discord says, I have the original $99 UAV Futures build. It has an F3 flight controller and beat-up Racer Star motors. Is it worth upgrading to a newer flight controller and motors, or just fly it till it dies? I mean, I guess the question would be what ESC it has in it. I definitely, the motors would be a thing to upgrade. An F3 flight controller, you can't flash the latest Betaflight on it, so there's room for improvement there. Whenever I think about upgrading an old build, I usually lean more towards building a new build. Like, if I've got a really solid build and maybe it just needs new motors, okay. But if you've got a quad with an F3 flight controller and 2205 motors on it, chances are that the ESC and the video transmitter and that chances are it's all sort of old gear. So maybe just use that as your beater, fly it till it dies, and start saving up for a new one. That's probably what I would do. Freedom Hills Campground. Bubby, you met me at Quad Camp in California. I'm sure I didn't know you as Bubby at the time. Freedom Hills Campground is in Tennessee. This is where the race is going to be. No, where's the race info? Well, there's all kinds of things going on here. Oh, fancy. Fancy. What about the race? There we go. So this is the website, and you can find the race event at Freedom Hill at Knoxville Multi-GP Racing Multi-GP page on the Multi-GP website. Whole lot of people going to be there. Don't count on Schizo. Sorry, Schizo's tough to get to actually show up. He's beautiful when he does show up. I was like, you got Schizo confirmed? He was like, yeah. I was like, are you going to his house that morning to knock on his door and say, hey, Schizo, wake up. We need you. Not trying to rag on Schizo. He's amazing. But it's tough to get him to show up. Got a lot of people going to be there. Is there a price? Should you just show up? Events. Review all multi-GP events. Here's the multi-GP page. What? No. Am I logged in? Find a local drone race. Let me find my chapter. There we go. There we go. This is the event page. If you want to come out. You don't have to race to show up. You can just come. We got currently 30 people signed up to race. That's a big race. Mako Reactra. She's in the film that we're working on. Vanover. Rab FPV. He is stupid good. As far as I know, he mostly races whoops. So Vanover's going to be there. A lot of people. So come on out. Why doesn't Betaflight support DJI warnings? Is there no public API or just not implemented? So DJI doesn't want to let anybody else control what people see in their goggles. That's my take on it. There is a functionality in Betaflight called MSP DisplayPort. And what that lets, it lets the flight controller essentially draw the OSD on the goggles. You know, like old ASCII terminals from back in the day, old people? It's like that. The flight controller can just draw the OSD onto the goggles. And by the way, SharkBite supports that, or at least it's just about to. I think it's not quite out yet, but it's gonna. And that will mean that every time Betaflight updates the OSD or the flight controller, what the OSD in the goggles is going to be fine. Kind of cool. What DJI does is DJI reads the information from the flight controller manually and then puts it in the goggles. But the problem is that DJI doesn't read all of the information. Skadoosh, you can move the elements on the DJI OSD. Skadoosh, if you drag the elements around in the OSD tab, the elements move on the screen of the DJI. Anyway, it doesn't support all of the OSD elements, though. And the warning element, which is kind of important if you're troubleshooting your quadcopter, the warning element isn't supported in DJI. And DJI has been asked, will you add support for this element? And they haven't done it. And they're probably not going to do it at this point. Feels like that the rush of development that happened with the DJI FPV system when it first came out, yeah, feels like it's a little slowed down. So what some of the firmwares have done is make the pilot name element be the warning element. Pilot name is just an arbitrary string of text. So iNav and EmuFlight will put the warning element in the pilot name, and the DJI goggles can display the pilot name. It seems like a pretty solid workaround. The Betaflight devs have said, we're not going to do that. Betaflight devs have said, there is a way that DJI needs to fix this. We are not going to put in a hack to work around their inability. They've taken a principled stance. It is, in fact, a principled stance. They are right. DJI should fix this. DJI is not going to fix it. And as a result, the users are just kind of screwed. So there is a workaround, though. I'm not going to be able to find it here on the stream, unfortunately. I'm going to make a video about it. At least I want to make a video about it. There's a workaround. There's a guy who has built a version of Betaflight that has that built in. And all you have to do is flash your board with the correct generic target for your flight controller, and then it will have the warning in the OSD. So you can get that from this other guy's repo. I'm not going to be able to find a link to it here. If anybody puts it in chat, that would be great. But he's got a repo where you can do that. So it's the beauty of open source. The Betaflight devs won't do it. You can download it, and you can do it if you want the workaround. Show me you can move the built-in DJI elements. You totally can, David. I'm sorry, Skadoosh. I'm not going to do it here on the stream. I'm not like I wouldn't be able to like put it in the camera or whatever. Put the camera in the goggles to show you. You absolutely can do it though, dude. You just go do it right now. In the Betaflight OSD tab, move the element. It'll move in the goggles. It totally will. Dominic Clifton, you are 100% right that the Canvas API is super important. It would be great if they supported it. It's just that they're not going to. So then the question is, at what point do you just acknowledge that that's not going to happen and satisfy the users? You can't move the DJI voltage. That's correct, David Skadoosh. You can't move the DJI OSD elements. The Betaflight element. That's right, Skadoosh. You can move them. You can move them. No, he says he wants the Betaflight element, not the DJI ones. I can't tell what we're talking about here. How many people come out to fly at this event usually? Thank you for a $2 super chat. Ohmed out FPV. I don't know because it's the first time this event has happened as far as I know. I thought it was just another race. Apparently it's a pretty big thing. I'll be there, by the way. I didn't say it. I don't think I said that explicitly. Did I say I was going? I'm going. Anthony Pocock, thank you for 10 Australian dollars. Thank you for answering my email question, even though I'm sure it was a stupid newbie question. Answering stupid newbie questions is pretty much what I do. I don't mind. What state is the event at? Tennessee. You want to move the DJI ones from the corners. No, you can't do that, Skadoosh. No, of course you can't do that. Well, who said you could do that? Hey, Siati, are you coming to the race? Siati, you're coming to the race, right? I didn't see you on that banner, but you're coming, right? You're right. Dominic Clifton says DJI should write their code and systems properly and not force devs to make hacks. Squishy says, I can't blame the Betaflight devs for not wanting to put in a hacky workaround into what's essentially a mainstream commercial firmware. You're right. You're right. You guys are right. I guess my question is, at what point does pragmatism outweigh principle? Pragmatically, if you have a DJI quadcopter and it won't arm, it is much more difficult to troubleshoot that than it would be if you had the warning element. Oh, you could plug in. Yeah, you could plug into the configurator and get it that way. Once you plug into the configurator, now things are different, especially if you're out at the field. It just doesn't do any good. Dominic Clifton says, never. Stick to your principles. I don't know. Oh, Siati. No health insurance. Scaredy cat. You got... I understand, man. Metal Dirt Skin says, you can take a principled stance all day long, but ultimately you're punishing the wrong people. Yeah. I don't know. It's just good coding practices. When you start sacrificing coding practices for pragmatism, that's how you end up with spaghetti code. Yeah, that's true too. The good news is that because it's open source, we don't have to decide. We can just get forks. EmuFlight does it. There's this fork of Betaflight. There are people willing to do it. You can't have the option. Let's catch up on the rest of the super chats here. Sam Carmel, thank you for a $5 super chat. Does the 12 centimeter Nebula Pro work for the Apex frame? About to convert one of mine to in your video. Keep up the wonderful content, my dude. Patreon life, hashtag Patreon life. I haven't met a quadcopter that the 12 centimeter wouldn't work in, a 5-inch quadcopter. We put a DJI unit in the Apex when me and James Christensen did the build for the film, and I don't remember if it was the 8 or the 12 centimeter, but it worked. So I think you're fine. Pressure DJI, vote with your cash. How are we going to pressure DJI, Dominic Clifton? I mean, this is another case where in principle you're right, but in practice people are you going to not buy the air unit? You're going to buy SharkBite instead? Some people are. I don't think DJI is really feeling the pinch, though. The whole freaking thing was a weird flex from them. The existence of the air unit and the Vista was this weird flex from them. I still don't know why they did it. I don't think they made money on it. Maybe they made a little bit of money. They certainly didn't make a lot of money as far as DJI is concerned. Their standard for a lot of money is pretty high. So this idea that we're going to pressure them, how? How are we going to pressure them into doing this? I don't see it. So it's a question where here's the analogy I'm going to make. Imagine that one day aliens landed, a spaceship landed on the planet, and they said, "Hey guys, you got a pretty cool planet here. Hey, you guys know how to do nuclear fusion, right? You guys got fusion reactors? No? What are you talking about?" And they pick up an analog VTX. They're like, "What are you doing? You're burning coal? You're burning fossil fuels for power? Oh my God, you guys, frick, here's some fusion reactors. Oh, you guys enjoy the fusion reactors. Hey guys, these guys haven't even invented nuclear fusion yet." They gave us this amazing technology. And then they were like, "All right, hey you guys, we got to go work on the next thing. Yeah, it's the DJI FPV fusion reactor. So, we'll see you later." And we're like, "Wait a minute. Wait, no. Keep releasing firmware for our fusion reactors. We need the MSP DisplayPort functionality." And they're like, "Yeah, we're going to do it." Oh, anyway. Okay, so here we are. The aliens have left. They've moved on. When we got our fusion reactors, though, they still work. So, maybe we just, be a little pragmatic. We still got fusion reactors. This is pretty good. That's how I look at it. DJI needs some competition. It's not rocket science. What's happening? Why is my browser frozen up? Oh, there we go. It's HD video, not rocket science. Somebody needs to start a company here. Yeah, get right on that. Get right on that. Get right on that. Get right on that. It's so easy. Somebody just needs to start a company. Yeah. Hey, TBS, where's your high definition video system? Oh, it doesn't exist. Hey, Fat Shark, how's SharkBite going? Hey, we're working here, guys. We're doing our best. It's pretty good. Hey, HC0, we need some updates. Hey, Orca. Hey, how's that HD system going? Shut up. We'll let you know when it's ready and not a moment first. Sooner. Yeah, somebody just needs to start a company. Hey, one of you guys, start a company. Knock DJI out. Orca could still be the competition, Nick. Anyway. It is nice. I mean, SharkBite is the same thing. They've given us this technology. It's not nuclear fusion, but at least they frickin' take our phone calls. So that's worth something. Sharkbite could get up to 800 milliwatts or a watt. I think they might be a little competitive, but they have heat dissipation issues. Connex 2.0 will save us. Let's keep knocking out these super chats. Alex DeFelice, thank you for a $5 super chat. Have you tried recording on the Orca DVR using an external mic? Did you get buzzing? I did not. Doing some in-depth troubleshooting on this. I have not used the external mic feature, to tell you the truth. Probably your plug is not correct. Sync Happens says, I like how in Joshua Bardwell's mind, nuclear fusion and HD video are the same. The reason I chose nuclear fusion as the analogy is it is something that FPV had tried to do for a long time and sort of failed and just kept failing at it. Connex ProSight, it was pretty good, but it just didn't get over the bar for widespread acceptance. So everybody was just stuck on analog for the longest time. And then DJI just crapped it out and it was amazing. And it's kind of like that. It's this hard technology that people couldn't work on. Obviously, nuclear fusion. Nuclear fusion was easy for the aliens. They knew how to do it. Thank you, BBB, LLL, AAAJ, for 99 cents Canadian. Thank you, John Whitewater Jr., for $10. And thank you for existing. Paul McDonald, thank you for $10. What's the best way to determine if an ESC will support a motor? Total noob here. So I ordered an FD413 from Race Day Quads. I want to figure out what I can print to stick on it and make it a DIY. The number one thing you have to look for with the ESC is the amp draw. Will the motor and prop draw too many amps and fry the ESC? But the best way to do that is just to look at what other similar builds are doing. Because like bench tests for the motors are not they're not really super accurate. They don't really reflect what's going to happen in flight. In flight, the motor will typically pull far fewer amps. That's what I mean. So the best way to determine if an ESC will support a motor is to look at other similar builds that people are doing and what's working for them, and pick an ESC of similar size. Jose Rivera, thanks for a $5 super chat. What issues could I be having when I throttle up but the revs come down? You raise the throttle but the motor revs go down? I don't know at all about that. I have no idea what could cause that, other than like if you have the ESC in 3D mode. I don't think you do. Would that even cause that? No. I mean, the revs would come, the motor would spin the other way, but it would go faster. Skywalker FPV says, if I'm on DJI video, will I be allowed to race at the Freedom Hills Spring Bash? That's a good question. I am not really involved in organizing the race, but I can try to find out. Let's see if Mr. Jeff Simpson knows the answer. Do you know if DJI timing will be allowed? We'll find out. I'm pretty sure that if you come with a DJI quad, that nobody's going to say, like, oh, you can't fly. I don't know. There may be issues with the accurate timing. I'm going to ask the organizer and see if he knows the answer. ETFPV, thank you for a very generous $30 donation. Thanks for getting me in the air. Thank you for your very generous donation. KFC Manager says, could the throttle channel be inverted? If the throttle channel was inverted, then the quadcopter wouldn't arm. Quadcopter won't arm when the throttle's raised. Severe throttle sag. That's plausible. If you had a really crappy battery, then when you jam the throttle, the motors could sag out the battery. It's hard to believe. It's hard to imagine that actually happening, but it is plausible. Good example. People in the comments are pointing to dead battery. Yeah, dead battery, plausible. I do store my batteries that on the table behind me. It's true. That's where I store them. So far, so good. I mean, I do spend all day down here. Oh, but they could go off at night. It's true. Squishy7 in the Discord says, there's a legitimate case to be made for Orca being competitive in HD. Their ability to bring a very good product to market a little over a year after their Kickstarter shows some serious chops. That's very hard to do. Yep, I agree. I was trying to make a point that somebody needs to compete with DJI. Why? That's really an understatement for how difficult what you would have to do is. I do think Orca has a chance. The big question is how much money they're bringing to the table. I said this way back when in my digital HD FPV never gonna happen video. That's not what the video actually said, for the record. I have left that video up despite the fact that I regularly get comments from people going, oh, this video didn't age very well. I never said that it wasn't gonna happen. I did put in the thumbnail a picture of the girl from Mean Girls, the movie. And she says in the movie, stop trying to make fetch happen. Fetch isn't going to happen. And I put digital FPV not going to happen. I didn't mean that it literally wasn't going to happen. I was just making a joke about the quote from Mean Girls, because I think thumbnails you a little more flexibility to make jokes and be creative. But what I said in that video was that digital FPV was so difficult and expensive that FPV just wasn't enough to make it happen. And I turned out to be right about that. You see, even though many of the things I said turned out not to be true, in the big picture, I was in fact right. Somewhere my wife is wincing. It doesn't know why. That's right. The reason I think that Orca has a chance at success is that Orca is targeting a wider market than just FPV, just like DJI. The reason DJI had the money and the engineering resources to invent the DJI FPV system is because their target is a much bigger audience, and because they have buckets of money from a much bigger audience. The reason that Fat Shark doesn't have a better system than they do is because they have to buy the HD0. They're not developing exclusively this a unique product, and they have to make some compromises because they're using a more generic off-the-shelf product that doesn't specifically cater to the needs of FPV pilots. So Orca has a chance because I think they are targeting a wider market. But the big question, I think, is just how much money they have to throw at the problem. What else does Orca make or do? Well, they make the Orca FPV goggles, but they've talked about wanting to do like telepresence. They've talked about things like public safety, law enforcement, medical, search and rescue. They've talked about Orca being a telepresence company more than an FPV company, and that FPV is just a special application of telepresence. They've also just talked about liking FPV. So they want to start with FPV and potentially develop a larger product. And a lot of people hear that and they say, oh, so we're just going to be like second fiddle and get abandoned. And it's like, look, do you want the aliens to give you nuclear fusion or not? Because the FPV market alone just isn't big enough to justify the kind of R&D that's necessary to do the things that we want to do. And the more broad the appeal of FPV is, the cooler the shit that people are going to make for us. Sore Loser, thank you for $5 super chat for my amazing rationalization of my previous statements about digital FPV. A lot of the stuff that I said in that video was right. Right? I said that it needs to be lightweight, it needs to be durable, it needs to have low latency, and it needs to not be too expensive. And basically I said that you can't do all those things. I was wrong. I was wrong about at least one thing. I really thought that the processing and latency implications of compression, of video compression, I really thought that that was just not going to be feasible on an FPV quad in the foreseeable future. Like, there definitely are low latency, high definition links. What's the company? There are low latency, high definition wireless links. They're used in broadcast television, and they are big and heavy, and they cost $500 or $1,000 a piece. So I knew that the technology could exist, but I didn't think that it could be miniaturized to the point where it would work on an FPV quad. And in that respect, I was just flat wrong. Not Teradek. Thank you, Bannister Post. Not for the kind of price that people would be willing to accept. So my argument was, yes, it could be done, but it's going to be so expensive that it's not going to be worth it for anybody to do. And in some respect, DJI definitely proved me wrong, because the DJI FPV system, it is reasonably lightweight, low power consumption, etc. It ticked all the boxes except price, and it turns out that it was just so damn good that people were willing to pay as much as they were willing to pay. And I was wrong about that. Jeff Simpson says that we are going to try to support DJI at the Freedom Hills race. There are some quirks with DJI and timing, but if you have a DJI quad and you want to come to the Freedom Hills race, by all means, we're going to do our best to support you. Mike Postma, thank you for a $2 super chat. Can you do a video on the Hi-Fi on RC Tanso V2 VTX? Why is my browser windows freaking freezing up? I'm going to reload this window. Hold on. I'm reloading this window. Fortunately, my stream isn't glitching as far as I can tell, so that's nice. I don't remember who it was, but somebody in the chat suggested that maybe my microphone has something on it that I'm allergic to, and that's why I get allergenic whenever I do a live stream. I get sniffly. That's a good theory. It's a good theory. It's plausible. I literally spend Freedom Hills Campground is the race I'm talking about. Where's that super chat? Oh, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I reloaded the window and all the super chats disappeared. Wow. For real? Thanks, YouTube. All right, now I got to find these stupid super chats. Hang on. Super chat, see more. Where are you kidding me? Okay, here we go. A video on the Hi-Fi on RC Tanso V2 VTX. Well, I'm not going to make a video about it, but let's at least take a look at it since you were kind enough to leave a super chat. Hi-Fi on RC. Let's see here. Let's look at the pinout. Can I get a picture? Can I get a picture? Kanye, can I get a picture? Smart audio support, naturally. 25, 200, 400, 800, 1 watt. That's good. What do we got here? P1, P2, L1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got power and frequency buttons. Got a built-in microphone. It's nice to have a built-in microphone. Nice to have LED indicators, although I'm not 100% sure how to read them. But probably I would figure that out. Oh, yeah, I see. Oh, this product has been discontinued. Well, there you go. Apparently it's been discontinued, so Mike can't figure out how to change the band, channel, or power. I mean, usually, Mike, the way it works is you long press the button, then it starts flashing, then you single press the button to change. But also, couldn't you just use smart audio? Looks like it has a feature to adjust power when the antenna breaks so it doesn't burn out the VTX. That's pretty cool. That's usually only found in much higher power ones. Huh. Yeah, if you can't change the if you can't change the power or anything, I would try to get it working with smart audio. I mean, but the buttons, typically, if you're pressing the button and nothing happens, then long press the button, and it should start blinking, and then you can change the function by pressing the button. Let's catch up on these super chats before I lose them all because YouTube has screwed me. Same thing happened with proprietary display drivers on the open source Linux kernel. Took a while for that to get sorted. Thank you for $10 US, Ben T. Tech49, thank you for $5 US. What are your thoughts on Dave C's Recon 3? Is that the 1S? Is that the 1S? Let's check. Yeah. This is a really freaking cool thing. I think they're going to send me one to try out. I am looking forward to trying it out. I think this is going to be a case where you have to know what to expect from it before you judge it. That if you expect it to fly like a freestyle quad... Where'd it go? If you expect it to fly like a freestyle quad with the lithium battery, I think you're going to be disappointed. If you expect it to fly like something like a cruiser, I think it's going to be pretty cool. Just the idea of plonking an 18650 in there, you can 3D print the whole frame, although this one appears to be carbon. I believe that you can 3D print the entire frame. I think he's got the design up. Just looking at it right here, I have to say, are you not strapping the battery in? Seems like you'd want to strap the battery in. Like if it does go down and the battery pops out, that would be bad. I think this is pretty cool. Dave C comes up with some really cool ideas. I don't know how wide the appeal of this is going to be, but just the cool factor is so freaking high. All right, I'm caught up on super chats. We'll go back to this window. Alex says, in your review of the Diatone Roma F5, you used different props than the Ethics S5 that come with it. Is there a good reason for this, or just what you had? I don't remember. I would be really surprised if I didn't test the quad with the props that come with it. Ethics S5 are fine props. They're when I want a more aggressive prop, and Ethics props are the ones that I have in lots of boxes of. That's the one I go for. Most of the Ethics props are a little lower pitch than I usually prefer. So the Ethics S5 are fine. Obviously, I have the GemFan 51477, which is my signature prop, which I like a lot. Looks like we have the FAA in the chat. That's adorable. Colby Kyan, thank you for being here. First time catching me live. Welcome to the live stream, Colby. Yeah, maybe you just need a rubber band or something to hold the battery in. Bushy the Bird in the YouTube chat asks, my all-in-one board completely reboots when I give some throttle or if I tap the bottom of the frame. What's the best place to start looking for possible board repairs? If it's completely rebooting, just because you tapped it, I mean, take a look at the battery cable and rebuild and resolder the battery lead. But if that doesn't do it, then there's internal damage. You could try baking it in the oven and reflow. Look up on the internet oven reflow. Or toaster oven reflow. There's methods for putting your circuit board into basically your home oven and heating it till the solder flows. If there's like a cracked trace or something like that, then that could fix it. But a lot of times that'll just mean the board is damaged and that's the end of it. .661 FPV says the battery plug and pigtail are 100%. Then I think the flight controller is just damaged. If you tap it and it power cycles, that's just it. Jose Romero, thanks for a $5 super chat. Are you aware of any update on the DJI air unit manufacturing? I sent a question last week, but I didn't get to stick around for the answer. No update. They've said that someone will be making the air unit. We all assume it's Cadex, but there's no more information than that. Drace FPV wants to know the worst FPV drone you ever reviewed. Oh. Man. I mean, wow. Usually if it's that bad, like, I wouldn't even accept it for review. I don't know. I can't think of which one is, like, just the worst. Like, it's not the worst, but, I can think of some that I, like, ended up not recommending. Like the Larva X. The Larva X, I thought, now this was back when I reviewed it in September 2019. It may have been updated since then, but the Larva X, I thought the way that they designed the stack was just completely flawed. The stack was basically just stacked on screws with the camera on top. The flight controller had C cutouts to go into rubber bumpers. So it wasn't even fully encircling the screw. And basically, in a crash, the whole flight controller and video transmitter would pop out of the stack and touch and short circuit each other. And I was like, this is just messed up. Don't use this. Everybody in the chat is mentioning the Eachine Wizard. The Eachine Wizard is objectively bad. The flight controller, just talking about the Wizard X220, not like the X220 HV, which is a little better, but the original Wizard X220, it's just objectively bad. The flight controller dies for no reason. The ESCs blow up. That being said, so many people have gotten into the hobby on the Eachine Wizard, it's hard for me to be too hard on it because it's so freaking inexpensive. Did the Larva X fly well? Yeah, it flew okay, but I felt like the durability issue was a deal breaker. That's the thing. I can't. it's hard for me to think of one that's just awful in every way. Like, if you ask me about goggles, the Top Sky Prime 1S, the Top Sky Prime 1S was just a bad goggle in like every way. I made a review of it and I was just like, no, 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 was the summary of that review. I can't think of a quadcopter that was that bad that I reviewed. Jackalope, if you're trying to upgrade the Xylo build to Caddx, I think the standoffs are... Is it back there? Oh. Let's see. Which one is it? That's it. Right there. Hang on. No. What have I done? No, not ink. I've done something to my caliper. There we go. The standoffs on the DJI version of the JB budget build are... .28 millimeters. The rear standoffs are 28 millimeters. The front standoffs are 28. Oh, it's not a split deck. It's 28 millimeters is the answer. Hackaroni. I don't think your super chat's been lost. I'm just working my way back through. YOY, thanks for a $5 super chat. What flight controller would you use for a hexacopter when I would like to use the Air unit or the Caddx Vista unit and I'm building a hexacopter? So for a hexacopter, you're going to want a flight controller with at least 6 motor outputs, obviously. So the JBF7 has 8 motor outputs. There are others. But certainly could use that. So then you're going to need an ESC. And what most people do these days, there aren't ESCs that have 6 motor outputs. There's one. There's the Flywoo, but it's a 16 millimeter, and you wouldn't want to use it for a larger one. So what most people do is they just get 2 4-in-1 ESCs, and they only use 6 of the motor outputs. You can also use individual ESCs, of course. But that's how most people would handle that. As far as DJI, get any flight controller with 8 motor outputs and support for DJI plug would be nice. The JBF7 will do that. Kyle Wickline, thank you for a $5 super chat. What's the best orientation for patch and Omni antennas on DJI Goggles V1? I have the iFlight Crystal. For Goggles V1, let me remind myself. I like to have the patch on bottom and the Omnis on top. Now, the reason I do that is because when you've got the Omnis mounted on bottom, they are lower. They're physically lower, unless you do something like this. And having them lower hurts reception. So I would not do this on the V1. Let's see if I can find the images I'm looking for, though. It's Mads Tech has a picture. Yeah, right here. So now let's look through this for his diagram. This is the V1 goggles. And you could argue, I would argue that having them on top where it's TX RX versus these, which is RX only. So I think you could argue that if you're not concerned about the Omni performance, having them on top is superior. Many people say that having them on the left side is actually the best. But that's not possible with the iFlight Crystal. What I would do is put them on the bottom with the Omnis on top so the Omnis get better performance, but that's just my personal take. I don't think that's universal. Let's see here. FPV Lippy, thanks for $2 super chat. What actually goes into you developing a prop? I didn't develop the prop from scratch. I found a prop I liked, and I wanted it in custom colors. So I asked if they would. I said, "Look, if I'll let you put my name on it if you give it to me in my colors." But I did really like that prop. I just found that it had characteristics that I liked when I flew. YOY, thank you for a $5 super chat. Oh, I got you, YOY. Did you ask twice? You did. Thank you for another $5. Cougar Griff, thank you for a $5 super chat. Are the DJI goggles V2 ever going to be able to accept digital video in? What you mean, like HDMI in? I don't think that's going to happen. I don't see any reason to think that would happen. Caleb Graffe, thank you for a $5 super chat. I just bought a Tina Whoop. After any small bump, I lose video, OSD, or both. It's resolved when I power cycle. Thoughts? Caleb, the bottom line is you bought a bind and fly, ready to fly quad, and it has a defect. Send it back. Complain to the manufacturer. Complain to the store you bought it from. You shouldn't have to troubleshoot this. Now, if you say, "Oh well, I've been crashing it around my house for the last 2 weeks. Maybe I broke it." Losing video and OSD suggests that the connection to the camera is bad. So I would maybe resolder the wires going to the camera, or perhaps replace the camera. So. Hackeroni, maybe I did miss your super chat. Let's go ahead and get it out of the way here. Thank you for being a patron in the Discord server as well there. What are some tips to get rid of wind noise on my Session 5? Anything more permanent than just taping foam over the mic? It's funny you asked that, Hackeroni, because GoPro is widely regarded to have some of the best wind rejection of anything. There are at least 2 microphones on that GoPro in 2 different locations, and they switch between them depending on where the wind is and so forth. It's hard to imagine it getting much better while still actually recording motor noise and anything useful. I've never had to deal with wind noise on a GoPro, because I've always found the GoPro algorithm to be adequate at getting rid of wind noise. So foam over the mic, sure. You could, yeah, I don't know. Andy RC thinks the top 2 antennas of the FPV goggles V1 only transmit. 507RC says the FCC filing disagrees with that. Andy RC is pretty confident, though. Says he tested it with a RF meter. If the top 2 antennas only transmit, as Andy says... Well, Andy, wait a minute. You say you put an RF meter on them. You can't test whether they're receiving with an RF meter, right? If they were TX RX and you put an RF meter next to them, you would only pick up the TX. The RF meter wouldn't pick up the RX. Right? Does that make sense? Andy, you're saying the top 2 are transmit and receive, but the bottom 2 are receive only. Such a weird arrangement, too. And the goggles V1, I think that I would want the patch antenna on the TXRX rather than the RX only. Why wouldn't you have an advantage on both? but maybe there's something about the... I also just got better performance overall with the patch on the bottom. Remy Tim, very good point. Going back to Hackeroni's super chat about wind noise. There's only so much you can do to get rid of wind noise on a quadcopter. Federica Petipas says, I bought a Nazgul quadcopter. There's no microphone. Is there a solution? Frederic, the question that we got to ask is does the iFlight Force VTX have a microphone? This is the VTX that's on the Nazgul, if my memory is correct. My browser is being stupid. So this VTX doesn't have an audio plug. So I think you're out of luck. If the VTX doesn't have an audio input, you're just out of luck. Now, does it have a built-in microphone? Does it have a built-in microphone? That's the other possibility. I don't think it does. No. So this VTX does not support audio and does not have a built-in microphone. So you're out of luck on this one. You would need to replace the VTX entirely. If you're concerned about audio, then I recommend installing a VTX with a built-in microphone so you don't have to deal with any of the wiring. The iFlight, not the iFlight, the Rush Tank Ultimate, does it have a built-in microphone? I think it does. Oh, not this one. No, this one doesn't have a microphone. Oh, it does. Oh, hallelujah, it does. Okay, so I would recommend the Rush Tank Ultimate as a workaround for a microphone. Oh, there it is, right there. There's both a 20 millimeter, no, 30 millimeter version and this version, and that's what I would suggest. And you just have to replace the microphone on the quadcopter with this one instead. The Rush Tank Solo also. Good point, Eric Toft. Market Zero says, my Nazgul 5 came with a Force VT5804 and it does have a microphone. You picked the wrong one to view. Well, that's fair. If you have the Force VT5804, that's not an, well, let's just look. Let's just look. We don't need to guess. Nazgul 5 V2. VTX Success Force. No, I had the right one. This comes with the VTX Success Force. Yep. I think that's the one that's on there. Jackalope FPV asks, thank you for a $5 super chat. Jackalope, do you have a recommendation on a different antenna mount that would fit your Xylo build and the Immortal T antenna? Would like to switch to Crossfire one day. The first thing I would do is just look at Get FPV. The frame is the Freakstyle. Let's look for Freakstyle Crossfire. Unfortunately, Get FPV search always puts an or between the terms, not an and. And so now I'm getting results for Freestyle and Crossfire, which is just the dumbest choice. If I put it in quotes, does it work? No. It's the dumbest thing. If there's two terms, there should be an and between them. Dumbest thing. So frustrating. Not an or. So, like, right here. Freestyle antenna mount SMA with Immortal T. So, this one you probably could use if you just gouge out some screw holes for the, which antenna? Which antenna are you using? This one would be a potential choice. That's the one I've used before. I've had to modify it slightly to fit the VTX antenna, but it does work pretty well. If you were to look, if you were just to take the width of the standoffs, like it's probably pretty standard. You could probably find something on Thingiverse to make it work. The width of the standoffs is about 32 millimeters. So you may be able to just find something on Thingiverse to make it work. Duck My Squee, thank you for 5 New Zealand dollars. The TX on the DJI goggles is small packets, so range is fine. Want big gain on RX to avoid the need to lower the cent bit rate. Yeah, the TX is just acknowledgements. But if it's TX and RX, then I guess the question is, which goggle is receiving the actual video mostly? On GetFPV, put search 1 plus search 2. Let's find out. So here is Freestyle Crossfire, which gives us both because there's a logical OR between them. Nope. Freestyle plus Crossfire. Nope. 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 Sorry, didn't work. What are they working on, Andy RC? What are we talking about, Andy RC? Fitzflight says, can you please force GetFPV to make their search and filter not ass? Nope. Andy RC, what did they send? Did you get copied on the same email I received about DJI HDMI out? No. But I'm going to go look right now. They sent it to news? No. Wait, wrong email account. No. I don't think I see that. Andy. Andy, I don't see it, but it sounds interesting. I'd love to know more about it. All right, Andy, let's talk. What's this email you're talking about? Or maybe Andy is just pulling our leg. I don't see that email. That's all I know. Okay, forward it to me, Andy. I'm eager to find out. No more super chats. Wonderful. Mac Thompson, asks in the YouTube chat, I'm a complete beginner and I was following your Betaflight setup video. After flashing the firmware, I lost all the configuration for my drone. I did save it as you said to, but I'm lost. Mac Thompson, so as you flash, as you found out, it wipes your configuration. You save that text file so you can paste that text file back in, or at least parts of it, back in to restore your configuration. You could try just pasting the whole thing back into the CLI and then see if that gets your configuration working again. See you later, Dominic. Take care of yourself, man. Hopefully your brain stops bleeding. Andy, I'm waiting for your email, Andy. Andy hasn't sent me an email. We'll see. Well, that's weird. Yeah, because if I type Xylo Freakstyle, it works. It doesn't show me all Xylo stuff. But if I type like Freakstyle Crossfire, I get all this other Crossfire shit that has nothing to do with Freakstyle. Anyway, I don't think there's a perfect solution. Andy is sending it. I mean, I probably won't even be able to say anything. You know, because it's probably secret. But I still want to know. Eric Toft, thank you for a $10 super chat. Hero 7 Black, when used with Real Steady, has excessive jello. Video looks great pre-Real Steady. Real Steady proposes janky solution with gift cards and zip ties. Do you have a better solution? No, Eric. The problem is that the gyro data that the Hero 7 Black records is too noisy and just doesn't. I don't remember exactly why. I think it's just it needs filtering, and it doesn't work with Real Steady. The only way to do it is to have a soft mount. Now, you don't have to use gift cards and zip ties. You could use a 3D printed mount, but you can't just use gummies. It needs more filtering than that. So if I just search for Real Steady GoPro 7 mount, here's Brain 3D. Here's what they have. It's going to be something like that. I don't know how well you can see that. It's, hey, Brain 3D. Wow, you got a print and you got a white background. Hey, I know. Let's pick the one color that matches the background. Oh, I'm savage tonight. Hey, what color should the 3D print be for a product page? What color's the background? It's white. Let's use white. Do you think it matters that they won't be able to see the product? Just frickin' do it. It's Friday night. I'm going home. Yeah, so this is what you need, though, Eric Tuft. This is what you need. Can you see it? Oh, $13 for a 3D print, asks Sendorm. Says Sendorm. Sendorm, listen, man. If you look only at the price of materials, then a lot of things feel expensive. How many materials really go into a 3D print? A few cents worth of polymer, of filament, a few cents worth of filament, and a few cents worth of freaking electricity. Okay, and you got to buy the 3D printer. When you buy a print from a store like this, they're running a business. They have overhead. They have rent. They have employees. They have taxes. They designed this print. Do you know how to use CAD? Do you know how to design a print? Maybe you do, in which case, don't spend $13 on this. Just go make your own. Good for you. This is $13 for somebody who doesn't want to or can't make their own. And you're paying for way more than the print. I guarantee you Brain 3D is not freaking, getting rich off this. That's just what overhead is. That's business overhead. You have to pay somebody, whatever, $15 an hour, $12 an hour, $18, $20, whatever it is. You have to pay somebody to answer emails and ship, and all that stuff costs money. You're not spending $13 for a 3D print. You're spending $13 for Brain 3D, a company, to exist, and the company makes 3D prints. But the company is what you're paying for. Now, if you don't value that, then that's your prerogative. But don't act like you're paying $13 for a 27-cent 3D print. That's not what you're paying for. Squishy in the Discord says, they've been talking in the Discord server about this question. Guy, Detour FPV is having the problem. Flight controller won't connect to Betaflight unless the battery is plugged in. Flight controller powers up via USB, but the configurator won't connect. Issue possibly started after wiring up a Vista. If the issue might have started after wiring up a Vista, the very first thing I would do is unwire the Vista and see if the problem stops happening. Doghouse FPV wants to know, what components would you recommend for a super slammed 5-inch freestyle build if the goal was to have the shortest standoffs and the smallest distance between the top and bottom plates? What's the limiting factor? The limiting factor is the thickness of the arms, depending on the design. If it was a monobody design, or the arms were on the bottom, it would be the thickness of the flight controller and the ESC. I suggest you look at the Catalyst Machine Works Bang God, which is one of the thinnest possible frames I can imagine. Ghost Branch, I'm with you, man. If you intend to use Real Steady Go, just don't use the Hero 7. It's just not worth the risk that you're... Well, first of all, the soft mounts are trash. They break, they rip off, they're just not good. And there's a risk that if anything goes wrong, your footage will be ruined, which obviously you can't do. Ciotti points out that the camera is the limiting factor. That's true. If you're doing a straight slammed design, the Bang God has vertical camera plates and gets around it that way. Here's why I wasn't thinking of the camera. Bang God. The Catalyst Machine Works Bang God gets around that problem by having vertical camera plates. It probably is more than 15 millimeters tall, to be fair. It probably could fit the camera in there. But it barely has room for a stack, especially in the rear. Chester Lim 15, thank you for 5. SGD, can you recommend the best flight controller for videography in terms of flight stability? I need it for a project where safety is of the utmost importance. Chester, if safety is truly of the utmost importance and not flight performance, then you want to be looking at ArduPilot. And I know that somewhere out there's an iNav dev who is shaking his fist. The fact is that if you look at professional rigs are, for the most part, running ArduPilot, like with, for example, a Pixhawk flight controller. There's just far more capability built in to have safety, redundancy, and so on. And so that's the direction I would steer you. It's not that, for example, if you look at quads like the Money Shot, the Catalyst Machine Works Money Shot, it flies with a red camera on it, $40,000 camera, And it has Crossfire, and it doesn't have GPS loiter or GPS return to home. And the reason it doesn't is that they want Betaflight flight performance. They need Betaflight flight performance. Betaflight doesn't have those features. And so when they were developing that, they asked me, you know, how good is GPS rescue? And I was like, not that good. and the ultimate conclusion that Catalyst Machine Works came to was, we're going to use Crossfire. Crossfire mostly doesn't fail safe. And if it crashes, we've got insurance. But if you were flying over people, then that wouldn't be an acceptable risk to take. If you absolutely need the highest level of safety available in a multi-rotor, it feels like RG-Pilot and Pixhawk are the way to get it. You're going to want to run an X8. Yeah, definitely. Metal dirt skin. Redundant motors. Mac Thompson says, I've lost everything in my ports tab in Betaflight. I can't get any of the UARTs I had before. Mac, you flashed the wrong target to your flight controller. Let me show you what you did. I'm going to guess this is what you did. Mac, come on. Come on, flight controller. Come on, little flight controller. You can do... Oh, I don't need to connect. So, Mac, if you go to Firmware Flasher... Actually, no. Let me connect first. Mac, if you look up here in the upper left, you can see my target is XUA/EXF722 dual STM32F7X2. STM32F7X2 is the generic target. F722 dual is the board-specific target. If you flash the generic target, all your UARTs will disappear. There are reasons why you might do this, but mostly you shouldn't do this. You should flash the XF722 dual. So the reason that's why your ports have disappeared. When you flash the generic target doesn't contain the port definitions for the flight controller, and your ports disappear. The fix is to flash the correct board-specific target, which hopefully you know what that is. For those who were part of the betting pool on when I would finish my drink, 9:42 p.m. is when I finished my drink. I'm dripping on myself. Overbeast, thanks for a $20 super chat. Big super chat. Thank you so much for your generosity. Cadix Vista. Oh, Squishy. That's a really good point. Squishy. Squishy. All this time, I've been advising people on how to deal with this problem, and I don't think I ever once thought of that specific permutation. Way to go, Squishy. You got me. Squishy points out, let's go through this. If I flash the correct target, we're going to do this. We're going to go to, it's F722 dual. We're going to go to the firmware flasher. We need to be in DFU mode, please. Hello. Close. Can we get into DFU mode, please? Okay. So, firmware flasher, it's EXF722 dual. I'm going to flash the correct target. Here we go. Load. Flash. Gonna take a second to flash. Joe Dawson, you're searching for Crossfire plus Freestyle. I was searching for Freak Style. We're just using different search terms. We got to wait for this to finish. While we're waiting, Daniel Carroll, thanks for a $5 super chat. If upgrading my flight controller and ESC to a new stack will I need to retune, or will it stay the same because of motors and props? It's mostly motors and props, Daniel Carroll. The main thing that would change would be the filters you can get away with, depending on the gyro. But it's mostly the same. You might need to tweak your filters slightly if the gyro is different. Okay, so now we have flashed the correct target, and we're going to connect. We're going to power cycle, then we're going to connect. Hang on. All right. Now, when we connect, it asks, do you want to apply custom defaults? You must say yes to this. If you don't, haha, boom, no ports. Squishy. Really good catch. Really good catch, Squish. I can't talk. Really good catch, Squishy. Now, what I've always told people is reflash the correct target. And that does fix it. But you have to apply custom defaults. And if you don't, boom. Well done, Squishy. I'm really thrilled, honestly. Usually I've thought through all the permutations. And it's very seldom that somebody finds a branch in the troubleshooting flowchart that I didn't already think of. I'm not trying to brag. It's just I do this all day. So it's pretty rare. I'm really pleased. I'm just really pleased. It was really satisfying. All right. Going back to Overbeast's $20 super chat. Cadix Vista in the Flywheel Explorer V2 takes a power cycle or 3 to show video on the goggles. Telemetry is there. Screen just shows DJI text and my OSD video. Okay, so the issue there is your camera cable. If the OSD is showing information and you have DJI text and so forth, but no camera image, it means that the camera cable is either damaged or unplugged. Go back and like reseat the camera connector and check the wire. Will defaults in the CLI fix it? No, I don't think so. Like if so first question is, if I just unplug and reconnect, does it ask me again? I don't think it does. I think it only asks you the very first time. Let's check. Nope, it asks you again. So each time you plug it in, it's going to ask you, do you want to apply custom defaults? And that's the workaround. Yep, there we go. Now we have ports. These racing chairs are great for scratching your back in the middle of a stream. Wonderboy21 says, I was flashing my flight controller to different softwares like EMI and Flight 1. Now my flight controller won't boot without being stuck in bootloader mode. Or I assume it's bootloader mode because it's one solid red light. It may not be bootloader mode, Wonderboy. Again, if you flash the wrong firmware to it, it could just be kind of borked. So put it in bootloader mode by holding down the bootloader button and then, and then reflash it with the correct firmware. Why is that an option, T. Simon? Can you get it to work without custom defaults? Yeah, absolutely, T. Simon. The thing is, you could, so like, look, if I go to the CLI and I type dump all, there's a whole bunch of crap in here related to like pin assignments. So like if we go back up to the top, when you apply custom defaults, see all these resource assignments? That's what's getting assigned. Timer assignments. That's all part of this stuff here. This is all part of the custom defaults. Now, why would you ever not want that? Well, you could be developing a board. If you're developing a flight controller, you perhaps you're typing this stuff in by hand instead of, or more realistically, you're pasting it into the CLI. Now, there really isn't a reason the flight controller won't function, right? It won't function unless you apply this stuff. But like when we were developing the JBF7, there was no Betaflight target for the JBF7. So what iFlight did is they gave me a text file with a CLI dump in it that contained all the resource assignments. and I would just flash the generic target. And then there would be no custom defaults for that target, so it wouldn't even ask. And I would go to the CLI and I would paste that stuff in. Let's see. We're coming to the end of the stream. Let me make sure I'm not missing any super chats. I know there are some I still have to read. I might turn green. Thanks for a $5 super chat because they forgot to use my affiliate link to buy the HD Flywheel Explorer V2, even though GetFPV sent me an open box item. Thank you so much for your donation. Lee Foster Jr., thanks for a $5 super chat for answering the cul-de-sac email. Very, very, very appreciative of your donation, Lee. That is correct, Squishy. When you pick a target in the configurator, the generic is flashed, and then the appropriate CLI dump is automatically applied as a custom default. That's correct. Do you have tips for wings or some channels you can recommend? Asks Richard. Painless 360 has a lot of wing content. Have you gotten a review sample of the Pyrodrone backpack yet? Asks Omnidroid. No, I haven't. Last time I talked to Serge, which to be fair was some time ago, he said he was expecting to get them in April, but I haven't gotten an update since then. My review of the Uru AV backpack is coming out tomorrow, though. Daniel Carroll, thank you for a $20 super chat. I always forget the affiliate links. Oh, thank you, Daniel. That's very generous. Giz FPV says, my channel is about wings. Okay. Detour FPV says, I always use the affiliate link. So far, I've bought about $1,200 worth of gear. Wow. $1,200. All right, so 6% times 0.06. You have given me $72 just by clicking that affiliate link before you make your purchases. Thank you so much. It's very generous. Why don't they just apply the custom defaults automatically? Well, like you said, sometimes you may not want it to be applied. Oh, what about that email from Andy RC? Has that come in? Hang on. You're right. Let's look. This one. Oh. Oh, I got that one. Oh, Andy, I see. Yeah, I got that one. This is not an email from DJI. It's an email from the Devil developers. They're the ones who had the hack to get not HDMI out. No, this hack was not for HDMI out, Andy. This hack was for the region, the FCC hack. I don't think it's for HDMI out though, Andy. It's for the FCC hack. Yeah, Devil, the developers who released the free FCC hack for the DJI FPV drone, sent an email detailing how they did it. We'll be talking about that tomorrow at 6 p.m. on the news, among other places. Maybe I'll even make a video about it. Did it mention HDMI out? I haven't read the whole thing. I don't think it does, though. Ashish Maharajan says DJI need to support FPV goggles in all their drones. Air 2S is not fair. What do you think? I don't know. What's the Air 2S? Air 2S. It doesn't support a goggle that you want to support. I don't know. I don't have strong opinions about that. DJI usually doesn't. the thing is, most DJI products are not cross-compatible. Like, can you use the controller from a Mavic Air 1 with a Mavic Air 2? I don't know. Maybe you can. Most DJI products are not cross-compatible. So I wouldn't expect any single set of goggles or controller to work with all of their stuff. So that's what I think. Now you can stop spamming the chat with a question. Detour FPV, the issue with HDMI out from the DJI goggles is, yes, you can do HDMI or DisplayPort over USB-C, but as you point out, there has to be, DJI said that the chip that would be needed is called an HDMI bridge, and that the goggle didn't have that. And so that's why you couldn't simply do DisplayPort out from the USB port. You would need some kind of a dongle. I think he was wanting the DJI FP, like some goggle to support that. The Air 2. How do I know what region it's locked to? I'm in the United States. None of your business. It just depends on where you activate the drone from is when it locks itself down. It's when you activate it. Bean Time, thanks for a $2 super chat, but I already answered your question. Thank you, Bean Time, for your generosity. Folks, we're coming up on the end of the stream. We're 5 minutes from the end of the stream. I believe Aaron Ciotti is going to be streaming tonight, as he usually does. And he's going to start posting the link to his stream if you guys want to keep watching. Somebody usually swear a lot and build quadcopters. It's a great fun. And he's doing some giveaways tonight as well. Family Guyver says the new DJI Air 2 is supposed to work with the FPV goggles. That's exciting if so. That's exciting. I mean, the counter argument is, doesn't it make sense that all their new drones would have this new technology? So then, it turns out it is compatible. Beartail FPV also says the Air 2 will support the V2 goggle. That's exciting. It's very exciting. I still don't have a strong feeling about it either way, just because I'm not that into the DJI stuff. Will my new frame fit a DJI Air unit? Kaiser Soze, I doubt it. I actually haven't thought about that at all because I'm just not really interested in the Air unit because of its weight. I've just only thought about the Vista when I was designing it. So I doubt it. Let me look. Where's the frame? Here's the frame. I'm going to go with no freaking way. The frame is basically, the bottom plate is the same as the QAV-S. So yeah, because when Johnny built his QAV-S, they extended it. So no, but this is a prototype of my new QAV-S variant. There's a couple little differences that I've asked them to make, including a solid top deck, and it's got a 3mm front plate instead of 2mm. This is a 2mm, but it has a 3mm. And it comes in under 115 grams. So I'm pretty excited about that. It's going to be available in about a month. Hey, Ciotti, I have bad news for you. The devil horns on the end, these devil horns alone raise the cost of the frame by about $5. Which I know you guys watching this are going to be like, are you kidding me? But the problem is that because of the devil horns, they can't cut as many arms out of a sheet of carbon. And so we may give up on the devil horns, Ciotti. We may give up on the devil horns. It's 22mm standoffs. 22mm standoffs. Yep. We may have to compromise. So we're thinking about some kind of a thing that you could put onto the end of the arm to act as a devil horn. And so that people who want it can still have it. It's just when people see those devil horns and they're going to be like, what? I got to pay $5 for that? We might sell the arms separate. We might sell the devil horn arms separate. Or the cat ears if you prefer. So what we might do is because I don't want the frame to be too expensive. It's going to be more expensive because it's got 3mm instead of 2mm carbon, etc. It's going to be a little more expensive than the standard QAV-S. Also because it's got my name on it. You're going to get, it's my quadcopter. We're not going to just give that away for free. But I don't want it to be too much more. So, yeah, if it saves you a motor, it's worth $5. A lot of people don't feel that way. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Will that frame fit the GemFan 5.2-inch prop? Squishy, I'm not sure about that. It's the same as the same geometry as the QAV-S. Anyway, Ashish Maharajan, thank you for a $5 super chat. Michael Hill, thank you for a $5 super chat. Folks, it is 10 p.m. and that's the end of the stream. Thank you so much for coming out. Thanks to the patrons. Thanks to the super chatters. Thanks to everybody who hung out in the chat. And I'll see you guys tomorrow at 6 p.m. for the news with JB and It's Blunty. But for now, that's going to do it. Siati, have a great stream. And y'all have a great week. Bye, everybody.